What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Redriveraviation. Hope you guys had a fantastic day today. Today I have a very exciting announcement for you guys. I really hope you guys are excited for today's video. I've been working diligently on this project for the last several months, and I am super excited to make this announcement for you guys. I hope you guys are excited for today's video, and without any further delay, let's dive into this, everybody. So like I was saying, I've been working diligently on this project for the last several months, and I am so excited to dive into this announcement, man. This is so exciting, and this is a fantastic project ahead. I really hope you guys are excited for it, and without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be starting right now the Retro Tulsa Model Airport project, and man, I am so excited for this, and I hope you guys are as well. So this is a massive project, and this video is just, it's a very complex video, and there's going to be a lot to encompass here, so I really hope you guys are excited for it, and this is so exciting, as this is something that I've really been wanting to dive into for about the last year or so. This is something that I've been super passionate about, doing a ton of research for, and I'm super excited for the Retro Tulsa International Airport project, as this is going to bring a whole new layer to my channel, and I'm really excited for it, and I hope you guys are as well. So we have a ton to dive into today. Like I said, we're going to be talking about the inspiration, the format, and how we've been getting models for this project, and really everything in between. Like I said, this is a massive project, and there are so many layers and elements to assess in today's video, but I really hope you guys are excited for this, as this is going to be something completely new, something we've never seen before, and I'm so excited for it, and I hope you guys are as well. So let's kind of talk about the inspiration to get us kicked off, and what we have going here. So as you guys may know, Tulsa International Airport is by far my favorite airport, and I've been looking for ways to encompass that and just enhance it from where it's been obviously as of late with the Tulsa International Airport, like spotting vlogs and the current day model airport and everything I do surrounding the airport. But I've really been looking for ways to just expand in general and really get into new flows with that, and I've been really enjoying what we've been doing lately with Tulsa International Airport. The Aviation Day event was so much fun, and just the airport is trending in such an awesome direction. I thought it would be an awesome time to just start enhancing that and going to a whole new level with that sector. And obviously there's some things that obviously current day we could do, but I thought it would be really cool to really enhance my aviation skills and really go way back, and just been so interested in retro aviation, just learning all about it. I thought that making a retro Tulsa model airport would be so much fun, and I am so excited for it. And like I said, it's been an idea that I've had for quite some time. Very excited for this project if you can't tell, but it's been something that I've been looking to do for quite some time now, but there is quite a few layers that go along with that, especially inquiring the model airplanes for it will be the biggest one, as we'll talk about throughout today's video. But man, we have some exciting things to dive into, and I really hope you guys are excited for it. So inspiration, like I said, just been a Tulsa International Airport enthusiast. I know this sounds kind of ridiculous to say, but just learning about all this retro aviation and what's going into it, and I'll kind of talk periodically about throughout the video about the inspiration, because it kind of goes into many layers. It's really big time, but as you guys know, kind of the general assessment, I've been at Tulsa International Airport. You can call me a fanboy, I'm fine with that, but I've been a huge fan of the airport for quite some time, and I've been looking for ways to enhance that, and I thought that doing a retro Tulsa model airport would be a fantastic way to do it, along with encompassing retro aviation, which is something that I've been really excited for as well, which is the second part of the inspiration. So as you guys may or may not know, I've been an aviation enthusiast for about 10 years or so, and it's been really cool to see how aviation has progressed over the last decade, and man, it has been something else to say the least from 2012 or even back to 2010 if you want to go that far. Aviation has just been incredible to see, and really dating back to circa early 2000, there's so many different layers that aviation encompasses, and I just remember from my childhood getting to see all those, and then seeing online just all the retro planes, what the different types were, all the different airlines. There's just so many complex layers to retro aviation that we don't find nowadays. So I thought it'd be really cool. Why don't we crank it back to retro aviation, just start with the project and see where it can take us, because there is so much that one can learn. It is a very educational and informative experience, especially if you're an aviation nerd like myself, and it is so exciting that we're going to be cranking it back and really seeing what retro aviation is all about at an airport like Tulsa International Airport. And I just thought for all these layers, the inspiration was most certainly there to go out and make this happen, because while this is going to be a very expensive project, as we'll talk about throughout this video, it'll most certainly be worth it to just see what aviation was all about during that time and just what it all encompasses. And even dating back to post-World War II, we can go way back and see what aviation is all about, and that is what I'm so excited for, and I hope you guys are as well. So we'll be talking more about the inspiration throughout this video, but the inspiration has been very much there, and I am so excited for it, and I hope you guys are as well. So, like I said, this is a very complex, structured project, and I really wanted to go into the format so you guys are very familiar with what we'll be doing, because there's going to be many layers to it, and I don't want there to be too many question marks to be had, because obviously, like I said, a very complex project. So we're going to be diving into all those details and kind of talking about how this works. So let's get into it, everybody. So this is the format. So this will kind of be like normal day-to-day airport updates. However, there's going to be some things that are going to be changed, because obviously it's not present day, and it's not, you could do it in that format, but I think that I've been thinking about this format for quite some time. I think this will work better to encompass all those details and to really dive into what the arrows were all about. So here's what we'll be doing. So what I plan to do is we're going to have decade or 10-year assessments to gain a better understanding of what was going on at the airport during that time as full history videos. So what we'll be doing, for instance, is we'll be doing like a 2000 to a 2010 era history video on Tulsa International Airport to gain a better understanding of what was going on at the airport during that time. I feel like this is the best way to do it, to not only encompass all the details that were going on during that time, from what airlines flew there, what aircraft flew there, all the different details with the airports, what was new, what was old at the time, what routes were being announced, what routes were being terminated, and all those items, because really there's so much complexity to an airport like Tulsa during this time frame, or even dating back to 1949 or whatever year you want to use. There is so much detail going on, and I feel it's only right to give it its own video to encompass those details, because you guys are already kind of familiar with, when I do my airport updates nowadays, with what's going on with that airport, especially if you've watched previous videos and kind of caught on and started following along with what's going on with that airport, especially with current day social media and everything, when I can share events that are going on and all that. But this is a little bit different. It's all this stuff's already happened, and even I don't know about a lot of these items. So this is where it's going to be quite helpful to make it its own individual video, because in the airport update portion, we're going to be strictly focusing on the actual aircraft themselves and the routes and all that, and we're going to have so much to talk about with just all the airlines and aircrafts in general, and really what was going on in the airport during that time. It's going to be hard to encompass all the history go along with that. Like I said, while you could, I think it makes more sense to do it in this format. I think it's going to work really well to dive into detail and really get all that talking out of the way. As you guys can tell, I really enjoy talking, and I feel it would be a great way to do it in that history video. So if you guys don't really care to learn about the history, then you can at least do the airport update, which I think will be quite helpful, especially. So I think that's going to work really well, and like I said, I think this format's going to be pretty great. So like I said, we're going to have decade assessments. So for instance, we'll have a 2000 to 2010 time frame to cover those applicable years, and then those will correspond with the upcoming airport updates. So what we'll do to start with is actually the first history video will probably be 2000 to 2022. I might break it up. I haven't decided yet. Let me know if you guys would rather see 2012 to 2022. But nevertheless, I thought it would be really good to get just a full history video out there. And the difference is, since 2000, and this is kind of going to be something that will be reflected, especially in the early airport updates, there is so much more information that I have to work with online about what was going on at the airport during that time, including Wayback Machine archives, Flight Radar 24 archives, FlightAware archives, airport website archives from Tulsa International Airport, departedflights.com, and so many more resources. And also go along with that, airliners.net, jetphotos.net, and really there's just a plethora of sources I can use to figure out information at the time to make it as accurate as possible to what it was, for instance, in like 2006 or whatever year you'd like to crank it back to, which is very exciting as I have so much more information to work with. Like for instance, one item that I didn't know about for the longest time until I saw a airliners.net picture is United Express actually had a route from Tulsa to San Antonio from March to May of 2006, which is quite interesting to say the least. And while the route didn't perform well, it will be really exciting to get to assess that, and I think that is one of the most unique routes in the airport's history. So that's what's really cool about this. But then when you crank it back to like the 1990s, for instance, while there are still a couple sources, you don't have internet web archives of the airport's website or really of like a FlightAware archive or anything else. And that's where we're strictly going to be relying on resources like departedflights.com, timetables, and anything I can find online, whether it's pictures, post stamps, you name it, to be able to get us the most accurate information for that time, So it's really exciting that we're going to be able to dive into all these details, and I will still have to do a ton of research to make it as realistic as possible. And that's why the time frame with these airport updates could take some longer times, because in the history videos as well, even though the history videos will help me be more educated for the actual airport updates, is there is so many layers to encompass with so many different sources that make it as as accurate as possible, and that's where it's going to be really good to do this, because with the current day airports, obviously everything's out there for us to see as it is, and heck, I can go to the airport myself. But unfortunately, I wasn't born in 1990, I wasn't around in 1949, and I was only 3 years old in 2006. Therefore, I can only do so much with my resources. So that's where it's really going to help to get all this analysis, so we have a nice airport updating store with all the applicable information, and I think it will be quite helpful to say the least. So that's going to be awesome. I'm really excited for it, and I hope you guys are as well with the format. So let me see if I missed anything to go along with that. So here we go with the airport updates. So we're going to have approximately 1 to 2 airport updates per year to encompass all the elements. And really the big question here is whether I'm going to do these airport updates handheld, or if I'll do these in the cut motion style that I've done previously with my previous airport updates before switching back over to handheld. The reason that I'm contemplating this decision is because I could really do it well if I chose to script the video and get all the information in there that I want to. While I'm a pretty good free talker in my opinion, especially when it comes to airport updates, I still think it would be quite helpful to get all that information in there just to make sure that I don't miss anything. However, obviously with the history videos and everything that we have going, maybe it's not quite necessary. Maybe handheld would be better with the, you know, the raw reactions and everything, to be able to film it rather than a reaction behind a microphone. So feel free to let me know what you guys would think of that format. That's a really hot topic to say the least on this project, and I might try it both ways for the first couple updates and see what you guys like better, because while we could do it in many different formats, I really am eager to see how the best way to do it will be, and it's definitely something that I'll have to experiment with and also ask you guys. So let me know how you guys like to see the airports. This would really help me out in encompassing those details. But again, I may just make 2 airport updates of the same airport or the same time frame, just to make sure whichever way I choose to go with will work best. So that will be quite helpful, but it'll be really fun, and I'm very excited for that. To go along with that, let's see what I was going to say. In the actual airport updates, we're also going to have complimentary concept discussions possibly to go along with that. So what that means is pretty much we'll be talking about aviation topics that at the time were very applicable, but nowadays have pretty much either went dormant or extinct. So one example that comes to me off the top of my head is what I was trying to say is, like, for instance, with the prop flights that went around to small cities around the United States. So for instance, let me think of see if I can think of some bigger airports. But the ones that come to mind is airports like Ponca City, Oklahoma, McAlester, Oklahoma, Enid, Oklahoma, and different small cities around different states had service on prop aircraft. So what airlines used to do back in the day, just to kind of give you guys an example of what this would be like, is what they did is airlines would fly to all these smaller airports to pick up passengers, and then they would continue to go on to their destination, which I think is quite cool and very unique to say the least. Nowadays, obviously, airlines don't do that because of how well cars are nowadays and everything, and that is one prime example of a full video that can go into detail, or even inside the airport updates, to explain concepts like this, because like I said, aviation's changed drastically over the last 100 years, I would say, and there's been so many changes that have went into that, and I would really like to encompass those for you guys and get you guys caught up to speed and educated on why airlines did that. There's also a couple more examples that come to mind, like for instance, airlines had service, three-way service, like a triangle service. For instance, TWA Airlines flew from from New York John F. Kennedy to Tulsa to Oklahoma City and back to New York John F. Kennedy to get as many passengers on board as possible. Another example that comes to mind, I had it on the tip of my tongue and I lost it. Let me see if I can, so another example, well, dang it, I thought I had it. Well, the Oklahoma City Tulsa is an example of getting as many passengers on board as possible. And the next one came back to me is, for instance, Continental Airlines had a service from Omaha, Nebraska to Tulsa, Oklahoma way back when in the 1990s. And the reason they had this route was because out of their Denver hub at the time, they tried to do as many passengers as possible, and they ended up turning Tulsa to Omaha as a non-stop service to get as many people on board as possible, and they would make it an incentive by cheaper fares to have people go to Omaha and then on to Denver, which I think was quite clever for the time. So there's many different videos you could do with these concepts, but the point I'm trying to make here is we could certainly go into all these details and explain why routes like Tulsa and New York went on to Oklahoma City for TWA, and Continental Airlines had service to Omaha from Tulsa for a period of time, because quite frankly, that's really interesting stuff, and it's quite different compared to what we have today, because nowadays, you have either point-to-point routes or hub-and-spoke model routes, and obviously that's a whole different video topic that we can talk about, and maybe we'll do some modern aviation concept videos too, because I think those are quite applicable. But nevertheless, back to the Retro Tulsa project. The reason I say that is because there was so many different small turboprop airlines. Like for instance, I have my sheet here. I'm literally making a checklist of all the planes I need for this project, dating back to 1970 when I have proof of that. And for instance, like Trans Central Airlines flew Pipers. why would Trans-Central Airlines fly Pipers to Tulsa, for instance? That's something that we go into detail about. Or why Pan Am only flew a year to Tulsa and they also flew to Oklahoma City as well. Different things like that, and there's so many different elements to encompass with this. I feel like it would be quite helpful. So that's why I'm thinking another example, why Ozark Airlines flew to Joplin, Missouri from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like, you're not going to see that nowadays. So that's why I bring up that point, but I think it will be quite helpful, and I hope you guys are excited for that as well. So that should be quite awesome. So going into the rest of this, like I said, 1 to 2 airport updates per year. That'll be really helpful to encompass areas like that United ERJ example that I used to San Antonio, but it'll also give us the grand scheme of things and everything going on. So the plan as of right now is to start in 2015 with an update from that time frame and start working backwards into the past. Ideally, I think it would be really cool if I could work from like 1945 up, but unfortunately I can't do that because my fleet is not adequate to do that at this time. I don't think I have a single model from the World War II era, therefore it doesn't make sense to do that, and I currently have almost every plane I need for a 2015 update, so that's why it makes sense to do it like that. So I'm really excited for that as well. I hope you guys are too, and it'll be really helpful to get to encompass all of those elements, and I'm really excited for that, and like I said, I hope you guys are as well. And of course, like I said, those will correspond with their respective history videos, and that'll get you guys caught up to speed for the airport, and that'll be quite helpful to say the least. To go along with the format, feel free to ask any questions if you guys have any. It is quite complex, and I have multiple ideas in my head. Like, for instance, I would like to put the route and airline on the screen as I talk about them so you guys can see it from the visual perspective and also the verbal perspective, because obviously that was a way back different, so you guys can relate a little bit easier to a United service to Denver nowadays, but it might be a little bit harder to relate to what time a flight for TWA came in from St. Louis at Tulsa International. So that's why I'll be doing that. And other ideas, like I said, the history video will be taking a look at airliners.net pictures, jet photos pictures, looking at the airport's website and just referencing the design and different elements like that. It's going to be really fun, and I'm really excited to dive into all those applicable details. And like I said, I hope you guys are as well. Kind of going over the acquiring models part and kind of how the actual model airport will look itself. So as you guys have seen, over the last year, I've been acquiring models for this retro project, and it's been really fun to get to see all these retro models. I think I've got the majority of the models dating back to 2000 at this point, which is really exciting because that's probably about the next year worth of updates. So we have almost all of those models. We are still a couple short, but I'm currently trying to get those final ones, and then we'll have those ready to go for those updates. Dating back into the 19th century, we most certainly are missing quite a few applicable planes, and there's going to be quite a few that we're going to have to get. So that is where I'm currently working on right now. There's so many planes on the list, and I can just name off a couple for examples. For instance, Delta 727s, Delta 737-200s, Delta DC-9s in the widget liveries, Continental Classics, United Classic 737s, a couple more Southwest airplanes, American Saab 340s, ATR 72s, Fokker 100s, Northwest DC-910s, Saab 340s, TWA DC-9s and 717s. Extended list of items, and point being with that is there's still a long ways to go with all the aircraft that we have. So that is currently what I'm working on as of right now, but I took a little bit of time to acquire all these models so that I'll be ready to go for all these projects. And while it won't be perfect, as I'm still missing models like for the 2000s, the Champion Airboat 727-200 would be quite helpful because they flew there for 5 years, and even like an ExpressJet Embraer ERJ-145 with XR winglets, of course. Even though that's not going to get released, I need to make a shapeways custom to that, and there's multiple models that need to be done, and there's different items like that. So this is why this break would be quite helpful, is now I can work back into the 1990s and even dating all the way back to the 40s is my goal. But I'm going to try to work about a year ahead in terms of acquiring these models. So that's why I'm saying this, is because I do want to let you guys know that there will be more retro massive unboxings coming to the channel with all kinds of different retro airplanes. And like I said, this is a very expensive project. In total, if you really want to estimate, this is probably, and I'm just taking as I'm just kind of stabbing a guess here. I would guess that this is probably about, all the way back to 1945, this is probably about a $5,000 to a $7,500 project. And you guys are probably wondering why I'm choosing to spend almost $10,000 to make a model airport. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm super passionate about it, and I'm also trying to build to my collection. And quite frankly, another thing that I have to go along with that is I've been as efficient as possible trying to get these retro models to be as efficient as possible. So for instance, thinking of the Delta Connection Embraer ERJ-145 I picked up from Waffle Collectibles the other day. That model was $40 on there. There's a couple of buying outs on eBay right now for $150. Now, I'm not saying that that model would sell for $150 on eBay, but what I am saying is that I'm trying my absolute best to, if I do choose to sell these models in the future, once this project has made so much leadway, then maybe we'll be in good shape. But I don't plan to do that because honestly, I really like these models. And the good news is there's quite a few that overlap. Like for instance, and my favorite example right here, the American Airlines McDonnell Douglas MD-80 flew from 1980 1983 to 2019 at Tulsa International Airport. Therefore, I can use it for approximately 40 years worth of updates. So you tell me how you feel about that. But really good stuff. It's a super exciting project, and I hope you guys are excited for it as well. We will be using the current Tulsa replica. I really hope to get a 3D printed terminal in the future at some point, but I'm pretty sure the current Tulsa terminal facility was there built by the 60s or 70s. So we do have it all the way back till then, but dating back previous to that, I believe it was kind of like the Pensacola Airport terminal design, if you guys know what I'm talking about with that. I believe it was just a normal, rectangle. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. It was kind of like a T shape. I'm pretty sure it's what it looked like. I do need to do some additional research, and that will be coming as well. So that'll be really cool to represent, and I'll probably do a little bit of a different board, but that will be way down the line. So kind of go along with the time frame. My goal is to do one airport update a month once the history video is complete. This very first history video is going to be massive because there's so many more resources compared to what I have right now, and hopefully the additional history videos that come in the future, like the 1990s video, 1980s video, 70s video, etc., will be massive too once I gain more information, like, I don't know, maybe a library or something would have more information, or the Tulsa International Airport themselves. But nevertheless, I hope to gain more information for this project, and as a result of that, I hope for those videos to have as much depth to them as possible. But there are as many public resources that I currently have as we stand right now that'll make that very first video quite long. So once that video is complete though, and again, this is going to take quite a long time to go through and make sure that I get all the applicable information for it, but once that video is complete, then we'll be diving into all the airport updates. And I really hope to do one a month. I hope that history video, I hate to say the end of the year, but that might be realistic. I hope to have it done though as soon as possible, hopefully within the next 2 months or so. But again, there's quite a few projects that I currently have to work on, and I'll be doing the Tulsa history video in the background to make sure that we get that done as well. But once the airport updates start kicking off, we'll get a good routine going with those, like I said, with the format and how we'll film those and all of that. So that'll be quite exciting, and we'll start kicking those off hopefully by the start of 2023, which will be quite exciting. I'm really excited for it. So what I was getting to is I hope to do one update a month. That is definitely my goal, but I may have to take some intermissions, whether I'm waiting for models, trying to do some shape-based customs, or any other reason that would deem applicable there. I'm not exactly sure why, I'm not exactly sure what the time frame would be, but I'm really hopeful to do about 8 to 12 updates a year. So kind of going off of logistical assessments there, that means that we'll be dating back almost to the early 2000s by the end of 2023, so on and so forth. So obviously 2024 would put us back into the 90s, 2025 puts us back into the 1980s, and etc. Even though I'm currently acquiring models all the way back to 1960, currently trying to get as many assets as possible, and we may take a break from the chronological flow. We may do something fun like do a 1960s update, kind of change it up. That will not be like the permanent update, if you will, because what my goal is to do an update for every region that is applicable. And the good news is this will take us probably all the way throughout my college career, and possibly even past that, depending what is going on with this channel. So that will be really exciting to make it all the way through the retro model project. And at that point, that will probably be applicable to come back and do some of the earlier 2010 eras, all the way dating up to possibly even like today, 2022, which I think will be quite exciting. I'm really excited for it because we can do some pandemic airport updates with all the grounded planes, which will be quite cool. I hope that I have a better Tulsa replica at that point, and different elements that will contribute to that. But again, that's well down the line, and we'll talk about that in the future. But it'll be really exciting. I hope you guys are excited for the format, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. So the last thing that I have to say is if you guys have any tips or thoughts to get some additional information for Retro Tulsa research, feel free to let me know, because I want to make this as good as possible with all the depth that I can and all those items. So feel free to let me know if you guys have any ideas and all that fun stuff as well. And if you guys have any questions, whether it's about the format or the models I'll be acquiring or anything like that, feel free to let me know and I'll be really excited for it. Like I said, this is a massive project, a very expensive one at that, but I think it's definitely really cool to crank it back and get all those retro aviation groups going, because I know there's so many retro model airplane collectors, and I know that there's not many retro airports on YouTube. But what I will say is I definitely highly recommend checking out what we do have on YouTube from people like JJ Skippy, Yesterday's Airlines, GeminiJets 1975, and anybody else that's working on retro aviation projects, because there's some really good ones out there, and I highly recommend checking those out. But this project most certainly will really encompass what retro aviation is all about, and like I said, this can go into so many different layers and pillars, but for the moment, we'll be starting with the Retro Tulsa project. I really hope you guys are excited for it. This is going to be a fantastic process, or project, process, you name it, whatever it is. And feel free to comment below if you guys have any questions, thoughts, or feedback, or really anything else that you guys like to dive into detail about. Again, a super exciting project. I really hope you guys are excited for it. It's going to be a blast, and I'm really excited for what's to come. So thank you guys so much for watching this announcement video. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Like I said, feel free to ask any questions if you have any. Get excited for the Retro Tulsa project. It's going to be so exciting, a very educational process, and you guys are going to be learning what an airport in the retro time frame works like. It is quite different, but it is super exciting, and I really feel like you guys are going to enjoy this. This is going to be so much fun, and let's make this happen, everybody. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. My name is Redriveraviation. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe, trust the process, do what you love, and love what you do. My name is Redriveraviation. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon as Redriveraviation is signing off.